Gonna talk about vampires today. Stay tuned. Hey y'all, welcome to The Real Value. I'm Cal. Today will mark the first of 3 vampire videos. That's right, I'm gonna review 3 vampire movies, all to get us ready for Nosferatu. I'm so excited about that movie. It looks so good, it looks so cool, and we're gonna do some vampire stuff. Yeah, let's get started. A beautiful and brutal retelling of the vampire mythos, Abigail was actually almost a remake of Dracula's Daughter, which is a 1936 film and was the sequel to Dracula, the 1931 film with Bela Lugosi. And this movie is something else. The juxtaposition of what seems to be a ordinary 12-year-old ballet dancing girl who turns out to be a centuries-old vindictive manipulating hunter bent on playing this deadly game of cat and rat. That's right, rat. It is something truly awesome to behold. The brilliant dichotomy of making a vampire, which is a monster, hell-bent on consuming blood and the flesh of human beings for sustenance, into a lovely, graceful ballerina is in itself a mirror of the human condition. That's right, we're getting all philosophical today. For what other animal out there has the potential to be just, kind, caring, loving, beautiful, helpful, and overall protagonist, while also having the potential to be unjust, unkind, uncaring, hateful, disgusting, contrary, and the antagonist? Human being, of course. We have both extremes of evil and saintly, right? So from its opening dance number, Abigail captivates you and it really keeps you interested throughout its entirety. It's one of those movies that I felt did not drag in the slightest. I think it builds up on the tension right at the beginning through the overall kidnapping scene and throughout the entire movie, from where you find out that something is amiss, something is wrong, and then eventually you find out the fact that Abigail herself is the quote-unquote Valdez character, who is the enforcer for her father, the vampiric crime boss with an empire so vast that this entire group is connected with it somehow. It keeps you interested and involved throughout its entire 109-minute runtime. And back to the group, this gang of misfits, this rat pack, if you will, which has different layers to it, right? So Lambert gives them all fake names that coincide with the famed Rat Pack, who younger viewers out there probably don't know. I mean, this was before my time even, but the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., et cetera, et cetera. Everyone except for the character that gets named Don Rickles. Sorry, bud. But as this Rat Pack, as they're so cleverly called by Lambert, because they end up being rats to Abigail, and Abigail is just wanting to consume them. But the title of rat has another layer to it, as each one of these group members has done something traitorous or harmful to Lazaar's criminal empire. They have been rats, so to speak. So Abigail gonna take them out. And this is a varying group, right? It ranges from the rich girl just looking for kicks, but really doesn't care who she hurts because she's still hurting people. She's still involved with a kidnapping and ransom, right? To the guiltless former cop turned assassin. No one in this group is blameless, but there definitely is a degree of bad to worse. You can see it when Joey starts reading each group member, which I found cliche. It's just another one of those, oh, I have master psychology, I can read you from across the room type thing, but they have to give us some backstory to the characters, right? So they do that and we find out a little bit about each one. The musical score and choreography of this movie, stunning. I mean, it's got to be good because of the ballet part, right? But when it's juxtaposed with Abigail's feeding frenzy, it blew me away. It was so cool. She's literally doing a curtsy and then whatever else.
Look what I can do.
Ballet move, right? Wow. Digging into the flesh of her victims, rubbing the blood all over her face like some maniac. While at the same time being graceful and beautiful while doing so. It was so cool to see that varying in degrees between brutality and beauty, you know? And here's where I want to give mad props to Alisha Weir, who played Abigail. I thought her acting in this film was stupendous, even better than a ton of adult actors I have seen throughout my years. She did so good. Alisha made her film debut at the age of 9 when she starred in Don't Leave Home. At 11, she was cast as Matilda in the musical Matilda. And now at 12, she stars as Abigail, which released earlier this year in April. Starring opposite Alisha is Melissa Barrera, recently of Scream fame, who I also just found out shares a July 4th birthday. That's right, I'm a July 4th baby, and so is she. So, you know, it's nowhere near July, but happy July 4th, baby, compadres, woo! America. There's a whole other cast of characters too, including Dan Stevens, who does an outstanding job of playing Frank, who's an absolute dickbag, but I guess when you're the leader of a group of assassins, you know, what do you expect? Will Catlett, Angus Cloud, Kevin Durant, who I love in so many things. He's had a lot of good acting roles, but his accent always throws me off. I swear sometimes he sounds like he's Eastern European, but he's Canadian. I think he's probably from Quebec in real life too, so maybe it's the French twang there that throws me off, but I like him a lot. It's also got Giansario Esposito. Sorry if I butchered that. The guy from Breaking Bad. Yeah, he's a beast too. Also in the movie are Matthew Goode, who plays a chilling and captivating master vampire, Abigail's father, at the end of the movie. And he did a really good job. I'll get back to him real quick, but my favorite of the bunch, probably because of her comedic relief, was Catherine Newton, who plays Sammy. And I thought that was a really cool twist that they did for this movie. Usually that's the dude's role, right? Comedic relief in horror. That's been a trope long heralded by some kind of stoner dude or that kind of thing. And at first I thought it was going to be Angus Cloud's character, but it turned out to be Catherine Newton's character, Sammy, who is just hilarious throughout the entire film. She does so many things that are funny. Like when Joey says,
"We kidnapped a fucking vampire. A ballerina-vampire."
I mean, she has a lot of good one-liners in this. With two strong lead female characters in Alisha and Melissa, I thought that Catherine did a stellar job as the comedic relief in this movie. Going back to Goode's performance real quick though, at the end of the climax, he shows up and it kind of reminded me of Peter Stormare's performance in Constantine. If you haven't seen that movie, what are you even doing with your life? Keanu Reeves, beautiful. And I hear Constantine 2 is actually finally in production, so awesome. But anyways, Peter Stormare's role in Constantine is as Lucifer, and he's legit only in this movie at the end for about 3 or 4 minutes tops. Yeah, 3-4 minutes screen time tops, but he does such a stellar job that I mark it down as one of the greatest portrayals of Lucifer in cinema history. And again, he's only in the movie for like 4 minutes, but it's such a cool part. And I think Matthew Goode's character of playing the master vampire, Christophe Lazar, and this has a similar kind of feel to it. I feel like the scene was unnecessary. They didn't need to add it to the end, so it could have gone either way, but I think he landed it, and his portrayal of this vampire that is like really wanting to suck the life out of Joey, but because Abigail's like, no, she helped me, Dad. He's like, all right, fine, you should probably leave. I think out of everything in the movie, he's probably the most chilling factor. Like, you can tell he's been around just for centuries, and he doesn't give a rat's ass about any of the humans, right? I thought that was a really cool part. They didn't need it, but I'm glad they added it. So again, the cinematography was great. The shooting, the way the vampires looked and killed and exploded was just a bloody mess. There was so much blood and gore. I thought it was awesome. I will say it cracked me up how they died. So it was one thing for when they got hit by light and exploded. I thought like, okay, that makes sense. That's crazy. But then the dude gets staked in the heart and then he explodes, and I was like, what? That was crazy. It kind of reminded me of Blade, how every vampire in that, no matter what, once they die, they like burst into flames and disintegrate. So it was cool, but it was also like, what? It was a over-the-top, bloody good time. So overall, what did I not like about the movie? I think the cliche narrative exposition of, oh, I can read you because I'm good at reading people because I'm a reading people person, people reader, and blah, blah, blah. It's a cliche trope that I think is not just in horror movies, it's just in movies generally. But I mean, I also get it. You have to explain some backstory, right? And if we can't always show you, we have to tell you, but whatever. I thought how the vampires exploded was cool, but I don't know. All exploding no matter how they, does that mean like vampire is, yes, so you wouldn't be dying on your deathbed because you're a vampire, you're immortal. immortal. But I don't know, whatever. You get some disease and it kills you and you explode at the end. I'm just like, for me, it's almost like an easy way out for the special effects crew, because they're like, all right, the vampires are going to explode. We don't have to mess with anything else, okay? No matter how they die, they're going to explode, right? Okay, whatever. Stake through the heart, I guess you can explode. And then other than some jump scares, it wasn't scary. Take that as you will. What did I love though? I love the style. It was, again, killing someone so brutally, but in a graceful, kind of pretty, beautiful manner. Just, I love dichotomies like that. I love when you have two extremes kind of meshed together. I thought that was awesome. I also liked how the story legitimately made sense. At first, it's kind of a mystery. What are we doing here? Why are we here? Who is this girl? But in the grand scheme of things, it's all woven together very nicely. The group was all related, and the fact that each of them in some way slighted Lazaar's empire. And so you got to throw Abigail, and then you got to throw Abigail, his enforcer, Valdez, into the mix to take him out. But Abigail is a hunter. She's a predator. She likes to play with her food a bit, which we know that predators like to do. Okay, the cat. Well. So it makes sense too. I also liked at the end how Frank could not possess Joey after he just turned into a vampire. I thought that made sense, and it was one of the coolest lines of the film where Abigail says at the end, and I'm paraphrasing, but she's like, you know, the funny thing about being a vampire, Frank, it takes a long time to learn all the cool shit, and she kills him. I thought that was really cool because he shouldn't be able to know how to do that just right off the bat. I mean, you know, that's hardcore vampire shit. So I definitely liked how that transformation was different than, say, Sammy's transformation, because Abigail just bit her and had no plans on turning her. I like the different vampire lore that they included into the film. You never know with vampires. Like zombies can be different depending on the film, so can vampires. It's all a matter of what part of the lore they want to include. So when Abigail starts to fly and they're like, she's fucking flying! That was great, man. It shows you how strong she really is and how much she was just messing with them, man. Again, a cat just playing with some rats. Overall, this was a good vampire movie with a subtle allegory about how humans too are like vampires. It had a comedic tone throughout the film that wasn't overdone, and the drive of the movie kept the viewer entertained. Before I reveal the real value, some other facts. It had a budget of $28 million and it made $42.8 million at the box office, so that's a success. So the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter gives it a 83%. The Rotten Tomatoes popcorn meter gives it a 84%. The Metacritic Metascore gives it a 62%, which is kind of like the tomato meter where it's legit critics of the site, while Metacritic's Metacritic user score gives it a 6.8, which is like the Rotten Tomatoes popcorn meter where it's just the critics of the site. Anyone can log in and rate the movie. Letterboxd gives it a 3.1 out of 5, and IMDb a 6.6 out of 10. So if we add all those suckers up and divide by 6, we get an average 71% or 3.5 or 7.1. But what is the real value? Real value of the movie is it's absolutely worth a watch. And on the Scaredy Cow scale, I give it a 1 out of 5. But again, that doesn't mean the movie's bad. That just means I didn't find it scary. Like, I give it a 1 because there's some jump scares. But overall, it's more of a fun, kind of vampiric, comedic horror film. And I loved it. I thought it was really good. But it was more cool than creepy. Like, their type of vampire teeth, so awesome. I love that. Just rows and rows and rows of sharp teeth. I mean, if I saw that in real life, yeah, I'm out. I'm running. But I thought that was cool. Thought it was awesome. It reminded me at the end of Last Shift when the demon kind of smiles. It's creepy stuff. Need to do a review of that movie too. Okay, that's it for today's video, folks. Thanks as always for stopping by. This is Cal, your horror pal, telling all y'all out there, be nice to each other. And if you can't do that, well, then just don't be a dick. Peace.
Investing everything that is inside me.